What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the show. Today, I'm here with my buddy Frank Sanchez, and they have a great business up in New York. And the truth is they've had some failures too, and we all have. That is how you become successful: is you have these stepping stones of failure along the way, and you learn what not to do and how to do things differently. And we wanted you to have the opportunity to kind of learn from some of the mistakes that Frank's made and how to move forward. So that's what we're going to talk about in today's show. Professional real estate investors know that it's not really about the real estate. In fact, real estate is just a vehicle to freedom. A group of over 100 of the nation's leading real estate investors from across the country meet several times a year at the Investor Fuel Real Estate Mastermind to share ideas on how to strengthen each other's businesses, but also to come together as friends and build more fulfilling lives for all of those around us. On today's show, we're going to continue our conversation of fueling our businesses and fueling our lives. I'm glad you're here. What's up, Frank? Welcome to the show.
Mike, what's going on? Good to see you.
Good to see
I
you.
missed you, man. Thanks for having me. Excited.
Yeah, absolutely. Glad you're here.
Good stuff.
I'm excited to talk about this. I know you guys have been through a transition this year, and everybody goes through transitions. I mean, the truth is on social media, when people look like everything's rocking and they never have problems, like
I love it.
That's a lie, right?
I love it. I love it. Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, I follow a lot of people that I know personally they don't show the bad times.
Yeah. And that's just not the truth. And in the Investor Fuel Mastermind, in our group that you're part of, we talk a lot about, like, we try to allow people to get vulnerable, talk about the challenges they're having so we can work through it, because there aren't a lot of like safe places like that where people can just kind of be themselves and talk about it. And the truth is as real estate investors, like, we all go through ups and downs. As entrepreneurs, we all go through ups and downs. And so it's an opportunity, right, to learn from your mistakes. And it's also an opportunity sometimes to learn from other people's mistakes.
I mean, I think in any business also, I mean, you really got to get kicked in your teeth to, move forward.
Yeah.
I deal with a lot of private investors, and, the fact that I have got kicked in my teeth and learned from my mistakes and fail forward and are able to, communicate the lessons I've learned and the changes I've made in the business, helps actually tremendously. So
yeah,
it's all good. It's all good.
I saw a quote today, I think, and I don't remember exactly what it is, but it's effectively says, it's something to the effect of success is basically kind of describes those that hung on the longest.
Yeah.
Which is true, right? So especially as entrepreneurs, like, I guess if you're an entrepreneur and you own a coffee shop or something real small where it's really just a job, you're okay making 30, 50K a year, whatever, that's fine. But a lot of us in this business are like, there's never enough. We keep like pushing harder. We keep trying new things, testing the bounds of the box, if you will. Right. And so you're bound, you're going to fail during that time. That doesn't mean it's over. It just means you got to pivot.
Yeah. I hear you. It's never enough.
Yeah.
My wife goes crazy. Like, when are you going to be happy? I'm like, I probably never. So
yeah. Well,
always going to want more and more and more.
We talk. Yeah. And it's not, and for me, it'll get to a point, everybody's different. But for me, for example, I have to make money. Don't get me wrong, but it's not really about the money. Once you get beyond the money part, it's like, it's a game. Like, I want to keep taking it to another level. It's like,
yeah,
if it was like Sudoku, I'm like, hey, I'm on the easy one. Now give me the like super hard one or whatever. Like, you just you want to keep pushing the goal line out because it's that challenge that we thrive on. Right.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I always think internally to myself sometimes, if I didn't have this, like you said, this game mentality and this drive that just, burns in my belly every morning, like,
Yeah.
I would be so bored in life.
Yeah.
Like, if I was just going to,
No doubt.
your normal 9 to 5, which is great. People like that, but like, and then come home, watch TV, have dinner, and do it again. Like, I'd be so bored in life. It's like,
No doubt.
as you know, it's the only thing that, keeps us guys,
Yeah.
moving forward and excited and young.
So we're going to talk about some different things, some challenges you've had, some of the failures you've been through, and hopefully give listeners an opportunity to get to know you better, and then also to kind of learn from some of the mistakes that before they make them, or to maybe commiserate a little bit that, like, I thought I was the only one, and they're not. But before we dive into that, why don't you tell us your background a little bit, and I'll learn a little bit more about you.
Yeah, so I live in New Rochelle, New York. It's like 30 minutes out of NYC. My live with my wife, my 3 kids, good family, very fortunate. I started in real estate in 2005 in New York City, where I actually met my existing partner, Larry Friedman. We founded a small brokerage. We had about 5 agents in 2005, and speed up 10 years. Up to 2015, we wound up, building it out to 12 offices over the whole island of Manhattan. We did a bunch of mergers, acquisitions, and our last deal was with Coldwell Banker, so we franchised with them. And one of our last partners, came on board. We had a, very adverse relationship, and it wind up going into a Supreme Court lawsuit, and Coldwell Banker was involved, and everybody was suing everybody, and it was awful. We thought we were literally like 3 months before that had like a deal where we were going to sell this thing for a very large figure, and I was going to walk away and figure out what else I was going to do, and it didn't pan out that way. Agents started leaving. The work environment was awful,
Wow.
and we just pulled the parachute before the legal bills got any bigger. And, we left there. We ultimately were getting, a lot of, high paid offers at, some of the other big real estate residential firms in the city. We wind up, joining Keller Williams for a little while. And after like 3 weeks of like meetings and corporate structure, I was like, dude, I got to go out of here. And I literally quit. They gave me a pretty good, bonus, to get out of there and, start my business. So I was literally like running like 3 of the biggest offices before everything happened, back to like, on the street showing like, 20-year-olds, $1,500 apartments. So for me to grasp that was, very difficult, and it
Yeah.
put a lot of strain on me, on my confidence and mentally and all that. And then just to speed it up, me and Larry were like, what were we going to do? So we joined we bought a HomeVestor franchise in 2015. So we got into this crazy business that we're all in. And, I think coming from a transactional business, there was a lot of things that, were easy for us to grasp in the business just from our past company. And, we've been doing this now. And so we have a company. It's called SDF Capital. Our headquarters are in Mamaroneck, New York. And it's been about 5 years now, and we have a pretty good team that I'm proud of. We cover 7 counties, and we do a lot of different exit strategies. So our main exit is rehabs. We do some wholesales, assignments, and we have a small rental portfolio of about like 28 doors currently. So we're looking to get bigger and tighten up our operations, and that's about it.
Are you guys do any brokerage stuff anymore at all? It's all investing now.
I still have my broker's license, believe it or not. So we in the markets that are close to us, everyone on my team is licensed. So we'll do our own in-house brokerage, but by no means am I, ever going to build another brokerage company. Just not for me.
Yep.
I am much happier in this side of the business.
Yeah. Cool, man. So let's kind of get into some of the we talked ahead of time, some of the things that you guys had some challenges in, or just flat out failures, or whatever happened there. Some lessons learned, right? And so
it's always lessons learned.
I know you guys have had a couple challenges over the past year, like losing money on some deals, and some of those were in markets and like that were kind of far away from you, but you decided to take it on anyway. You didn't really maybe understand the market as well as something closer to home. And I think that's a common thing. I mean, probably now more than ever, there's a lot of real estate investors that feel like no matter where they are, they feel like their market is like the most competitive market. And, in Dallas, markets like Phoenix, where like you guys have no idea what you're talking about. But anyway, a common thing is like, well, I'm going to go start investing virtually in another office. And it's not that that's not doable, but share your experience with, kind of getting too far out to where you don't really understand the market as well as you thought, and some lessons learned there.
Yeah, I think it really came down for us. We had a lot of success in our past business, even though it didn't, end so well. So we got some pretty fast success in the real estate investment space, and we kind of let off the controls way too early. We were because that's what we were used to. I mean, in our old business, we we were barely there. I mean, we had a team, everything was running without us. We could have went away for a month and nothing would have changed. So I think we had a little of that going on, and we had some bad people. We had some, well, bad or good people in the wrong seats, and we gave them too much control early on, and
Yeah.
we completely, switch models. When you first start, my advice would be to really just, assign wholesale. When you get into rehab, Mike, as you know, it's a completely different animal, and it's very capital intensive and time intensive. So we stopped doing what was working, which was a major mistake. Mainly because we thought we could make more money if we went from the assignment model into the rehab model. So we started taking on bigger projects, homes over 3,000 square feet in markets we had no clue about.
Right.
So, one thing I advise to everyone now is if you are going to roll out a model, do it very small. Test the market, test the model, and see how it works. We literally shook hands, and this is a true story. And we were like, we're not assigning anymore. We're just doing rehabs, and we're gonna make all the money in the world.
Like cut your hand and like do this.
Yeah, exactly. We were like blood brothers, and this is a true story. Our staff could back us up, but so that just started a whole bad chain of events, and we started buying these big houses at the wrong price points, in markets we didn't know. And, Connecticut's like going bankrupt right now, and we kind of got caught in that market. So plus me and Larry cannot like literally change a freaking light bulb. Meanwhile, we're overseeing a $250,000 rehab project.
Yeah.
So as that, you can imagine every single thing went wrong.
Yeah. And the other problem too is when you rehab far away. I mean, it depends on who you are, but you're usually having to probably find different crews, right? Like different contractors, and like sometimes your normal contractor, like, man, I'm not going that far away.
Well, yeah, that's another problem that added to the
Right.
mess, because we were using contractors in like Port Jervis that we were using on every project. So they were like driving 2 hours every day and then driving 2 hours home. So when you're in the car for 4 hours a day, like it just doesn't make sense. They're not spending enough time on the property.
Right.
So yeah, we did that. We finally finished, and we just couldn't sell it. We just couldn't sell it. We lost a lot of money. And what makes it more interesting, we had like 5 other houses of this caliber going on at the same time. So it's not like we did it, didn't learn our lesson, did another one, and kept going. It was all happening at the same time. Right. And the market kind of shifted, and we lost, upwards to $1 million, which it's a hard pill to swallow.
Yeah.
But that's kind of where it's at. So I would really just, for us now, what we've learned from that is really just staying away from these bigger rehabs. I mean, there's so much opportunity to stay, in the 1,000 to 1,500 square feet, your ordinary, 3-bed, 2-bath, that maybe needs some paint, change the kitchens, and just go in and out. Big projects aren't worth it, in my opinion.
And that's a lesson for everybody right now. The market's softening everywhere in the country, some areas more than others, but you really should stick around the median price point, because, if you're depends on the size of your market, but if you were to kind of segment your market, like the majority of your market can afford that stuff that's at the median price point. And if you get up to something that's 2 or 3 times the median price point, the population that can purchase a luxury property or a much higher end property is much smaller, right? So you just, if your market is, if you're in a market where the population's declining, like you're in some parts of the Midwest or other areas where there's like a mass exodus, then you probably need to stay below the median price point, because people there's not as many wealthy people there, people looking to kind of have their dream house there, right? So more people that are just kind of looking to get by. So you got to stick to that median price point in this business. I mean, there are people that I know that are in the luxury business and that's all they do. I think you're always one deal away from losing your entire business.
Yeah, and Mike, I think when you're doing volume, like most of the group we hang out with, it just doesn't make sense to pick up that kind of project. Yeah. Just get in and out, turn the money. Our number one thing we took away from that now, and what we, one of our golden rules, like if we don't have 2 exit strategies, we're not doing the deal, because we are just not taking that risk anymore.
Right.
It really takes the risk out of the deal. In my market, if you're at that median price point where the first time home buyer is going to buy that property, and for some reason it doesn't doesn't sell or for whatever reason, we can rent it, and then the
Rent,
rental numbers make
still
complete
probably
sense.
cash flow. Yeah.
Still cash flow, and then we'll refi. It slows up the velocity of the money, but you know what? You're
You
not
don't have to
losing
take a
money.
couple $100,000 bath on a deal that
Yeah,
your
we
only
have
option is.
not lost a dollar in 2019 after we lost $1 million. So,
Yeah.
learn from your mistakes.
Yeah. Yeah.
I always say if you're going to make the same mistake twice, maybe you need to be in another business. But
Yeah. Or work for somebody else ultimately,
yeah,
not
there
be.
you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're,
So
we're very tight.
it is funny as an entrepreneur when when you work for somebody else and they lose money, you're like, oh, that sucks. But you still sleep at night like it wasn't your money. But when it's your money, like the learning curve is much steeper and you just go a lot faster, right? You're like, okay, I'm never doing that again. Like effective, like right now, right? So
Oh yeah, I mean it affects your whole, your business, your family, your
yeah,
mood. I mean it's
everything.
crazy. So yeah, I mean it's just like anyone. I have a lot of friends that are like, they see me on the golf course at 3 o'clock, or they see me picking up my kids, and they're like, oh man, I would, but they don't, see what I'm thinking about before I go to bed, or the decisions I have to make, or the stress that's on my back.
Right. Up at 2 a.m. like because you woke up and thought of something, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about exit strategy. You mentioned that a little bit. So you went from wholesaling and signing to saying, hey, it looks like the people we're selling these to are making way more money than us. We should be doing that too. And you kind of went all in on rehab.
Yeah. Stupid.
Really, the pendulum probably swung like from one end to the other, right? But the true balance is somewhere in the middle, probably, right?
Well, yeah, that's exactly what it is, Mike. And I think, you know, where we are now, we really found a model that's working for us. And like you said, it is right in the middle of those two strategies. Assigning for us doesn't work. We have a big team, like I was telling you off camera before. So the spreads aren't there. Doing big rehabs just, don't make any sense. So we're kind of in this wholesale model now. Like we're buying in the medium price point in markets that we know and we know we're going to sell, where we have good boots on the ground, good brokers, good teams.
Yeah.
And we're spending this, between 20 and 30,000, to just paint the place, change maybe some appliances. We're even keeping cabinets now, redoing the floors, in and out, clean, bright, neat, and staging it. And that seems to be working for us.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And as the market slows down too, I think people, it's more of like if you think of your strategies, it's like a value play, right? You're not necessarily going to be, the house isn't on the cover of a magazine, but it's great for the person at that price point that wants a nice, clean house that's been refreshed, right?
Yeah, I tell my brokers, don't go out and say, oh, got renovated, this, that, and the other thing, because then it's setting the expectations for the buyers
Right.
completely the wrong way. And then they start picking apart the house. I
Yep.
want to be like, I'm a person that's lived there, 10, 20 years, that put a couple bucks into the place before they put it on the market. Just
Yep.
cleaned it, made it look good. And for me, that's the strategy we're sticking to.
Yeah. So what are the things, kind of some of the lessons you've learned of how to choose the exit strategy? So sometimes people are like, it's based off of simplicity of their model. I just want to wholesale and assign everything. Sometimes people really love rehabbing, but the truth is it depends on your cash flow situation. How many projects do you have going on? Maybe even time of year, depending on what market you're in. Like, talk about some of the things that you've learned about as your pendulum has kind of swung both ways now. How to choose, some lessons that you've learned on how to choose that exit strategy based on different situations.
Yeah, no, that's a great question. And like you said, we, have a very thorough underwriting meeting. Tuesdays, like we lock ourselves in the room and go through all the different reports. And yeah, we really try to choose our exit strategy based on our cash flow. So,
Yeah.
for an example, like just on Tuesday, we had a property in in Orange County, and the scope of work came back, and it was more than we anticipated. So it was $60,000. So we looked at, what else we had going on, how much money is going to go out, to complete these other projects. And we had to make a decision to put this thing right back on the market, and it's just going to be a wash. We're going to make no money. But last year, I probably would have said, hell no, we're not doing that. And I would have, went over my head and spent $60,000, which would have put a strain on all the other projects, all the other workers. So just based on where we were, I think I put this thing on 15,000 more than we bought it for, and I'll be lucky if I make $2,000. But for me, that was a winning decision,
Right.
just based on where we were. Also, we look at our taxes. We're offsetting, our taxes with the, you know, new tax laws with our friend and the cost segregation. So, if it's a good rental in a good area that cash flows, we'll look at things and, say we're able to hold this rental because the month's looking like it's going to pay for itself. If the
Yep.
month's not looking like it's going to pay for itself, then we got to sell that one, even though it's a fantastic rental. I mean, that happens all the time. I have
Sure.
something in like Rybrook, which I don't know, it's 15 minutes from here, like phenomenal area, like great schools, like Upper Westchester, and it's a two family. And December's numbers aren't looking good, and all me and Larry want to do is hold this thing, for our future. And you know what? We're going to have to sell it, and it hurts, but we need to do what the needs of the business are.
Yep.
And that's
Absolutely.
something that, we didn't do for the first few years.
Right. Right. You put yourselves in these situations where you're like, well, we really want to keep it, without thought of like, well, what does that mean from a cash flow standpoint for our business? Or, sometimes you gotta feed the monster, right? You've got overhead, you got advertising costs, you got people to pay, and sometimes you can't put money away for long term.
Yeah, it goes the other way too. Sometimes we have a rehab where we haven't paid our bills and we're looking at it. And again, we have two exit strategies for each deal. So this thing's coming under a 20% margin. And then, like you said, we have all these bills to pay and our cost per buy is around 10,000. Are we going to do a rehab to make, 15 grand? It doesn't make sense. So let's put that in the rental company. So that's kind of how we, determine everything. And,
Yeah.
our rule is we will not take on a rehab that's like over $50,000 now. Like even if it's in like a prime market, it's just not happening. We can turn the money a lot quicker doing smaller deals and, make more money on that money.
Yeah. And it just requires more management too, right? I mean, those big rehabs take longer, and there's just more management of the crews. More things can go wrong. Like the bigger the rehab, the more problems that could happen, right?
Yeah. In today's market, I mean, the buyers are extremely picky. So they're picking apart, everything on the renovation.
Yeah.
Um, so, that's where it's at.
Yeah.
We
So
try
with
not to take on too many rehabs at a given time too, because
yeah.
then it just gets out of control. At one point, we had 16 rehabs going on at one time, and you just can't
Wow.
give the attention to, each property that it deserves. So
Yeah, especially up in your neck of the woods, there's a lot of lots of permit issues. Like everything just takes longer.
oh yeah, I mean
Here.
we wait for permits, for months. It's insane.
Yeah. So let's talk about raising money. So you guys have gotten good at raising money, and I just know some of what's happened to you guys there. But a common thing for people that are, if you're used to using hard money and then you go raise private money, like a common thing is people offer way more than they have to, which over time you realize, okay, I don't need to pay.
Oh
So
my
I'm
God.
paying 12 and 2 for hard money. So how about I just pay you 12 and 1? And you're like, but a lot of people that are in the private money space, they don't even know what a point is. They don't even expect that, but you threw it
No
out.
clue. No
Yeah.
clue.
Yeah.
And I stay away from like anyone that's in the real estate space that throws me money because it's just too much of a headache.
Yeah. So
You
talk
know.
about some kind of lessons learned from raising money. Like,
Yeah, so exactly like you said, when we realized to take the business where we need to and do the volume and grow a business that's going to be good for our families. We need some working capital. That's one thing home investors never tells you. They just want to take your $50,000 and tell you they'll give
just
you
to be clear, you're not
100%.
part of that, no affiliation with that organization.
No. We left there. You might have to edit that, Mike.
Nah, we won't. But
Yes.
we can leave it at that though.
Yeah, no. Anyway, so like you said, when we, that was a new space for us when we started this business, raising private money. Like I had no confidence whatsoever with this. We didn't have to do it in our old business, but we did have some good connections. So I started out, with friends and family, showing them the deals, and like you said, who makes 12%? I mean, it's insane. So we started offering this 12%. And all
Yeah.
of a sudden, it's a domino effect. They tell their friend. My other cousin's like, how come you're not telling me about this 12%? So all of a
Right.
sudden, we built this war chest of capital that we're using to operate the company, which is great. We're happy. The investors are happy. But 12%, every month is a big nut to swallow and to pay out. So that was kind of the lesson there. What my advice would be, start at like 8%. I mean, I know a lot of guys that are doing 8%, and people are extremely happy with that.
Yeah. it comes out of the expectations you set, right? So,
Yeah, it's
you know,
totally our fault. Yeah.
yeah, a lot of
Yeah.
folks that have kind of honed their craft on this, they usually, like you said, you don't want to go find a real estate guy that's like 6%, 8%. Like, I don't get out of bed for that.
Yeah,
But you want
totally.
to find the people that have money, but they're not, it's in CDs or something. It's low
Totally.
risk right now, or they're like, they're just very risk averse, but they trust you and they know the market. They're in your market or whatever, and so they're like, hey, 6%, 8%, something like that sounds really good compared to the 1% they're getting somewhere else.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, we have those, we have some doctors, we have some lawyers. I have a dentist friend of mine, guys in the financial industry, yeah, that have no clue about real estate. They don't know they don't ask any questions.
Right.
Yeah, and they self-direct their 401ks. And,
Yeah.
for me, it was really just, educating people on the opportunities that are out there in the real
Right.
estate space. Because I think, one of the biggest reasons, and as you know, they are hesitant is because they're just scared and they're not educated on it.
Right. Right. And I think there's a lot of people too that, they want to flip houses. They want to be in the real estate investing business,
Oh
but
yeah.
when they see how hard it is, or they hear your stories like you of like, hey, you could actually lose money doing this too. It's not all like HGTV. They're like, well, so I can just be a lender and I'm pretty much guaranteed to get this return. I mean, you got to be careful with guarantees and things like that. But effectively, it's a safer route, and they don't have to touch a paintbrush. They don't even have to go to the damn place. I mean,
Oh, that's great.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's a way to be involved, but just passively, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. So Larry, how about kind of team wise? Like, what are some of the lessons that you
Frank.
learned with having the right people or the wrong people, or hiring family members, or have people in the wrong seats, or like any of those things that we all have some war wounds from those things. But what have you learned?
Yeah. I think, having people in the right seats is critical. One thing we weren't doing, and I didn't believe in it, just because my own ignorance was, the disc profile tests. I mean, I am a huge fan of them. No one can walk through our doors without taking one of those now.
Yeah.
Um, we've had some turnover. We've had a property manager that was completely in the wrong seat. She wasn't detail oriented, and we gave her, too much leash, and she was, we weren't managing her, and it was part of the problem that we got into. Um, I think we also had a lead manager that we were kind of having run the office, and he couldn't really get things up and running. We realized, like, it's really realizing like what their number one skill set and what
Sure.
value they can provide. So I think it takes a little while for us to grasp that with some of our team. And now we had to kind of, I wouldn't call it a demotion, but he wasn't able to do run the entire operation. So his best value is in the seat, talking to the customers,
Right.
building rapport, selling our value proposition. And now he's like our rock star.
That's
So
great.
I really think it's just focusing on and paying attention to your people and understanding where they're gonna succeed, which is not always easy for
Yeah.
owners and leaders. I think it's a skill that you have to figure out over time.
Yeah, as a small business, I think, and I know you're talking to Gary Harper, a good friend of mine. Like, what they'll do is, when you lay your business out and you say, this is my org chart, even as a small business, I mean, you should have the same structure as a Fortune 500 company, right? You're going to have like dozens of seats of, like, even with marketing, there's all sorts of different components of marketing. And what happens when you're a small business is that, like, it says you on all of them, like you like, you're in all these seats, but all those seats do exist. And so even if you have a small team, you still are like, hey, you're the office manager, but I also need you to, like, help with the marketing and do a few other things. And so we just throw people into multiple seats because we can't afford to go have a 20 or 30 person team, right? And so by nature, there's people that are good at some of those things and they're not good at other things, but we just need them to do it. And so I think probably the big difference in what you're going through now is just realization, kind of actualization of, like, they might be doing that, but I know that they're not the right person for that role. But just knowing that, because sometimes in the past I've hired people and I'm like, I just need them to do these 10 things. and I just assume that they do them all equally well or equally poor, and it just is what it is. But the reality is it hurts your business if you have somebody.
Yeah, it hurts. And then you're just throwing more stuff on, people's plates,
Right.
which is taking away what they were hired to do.
Yeah.
And sometimes when it's a small office, you start running it like it's the corner deli
Right.
instead of, like a business.
Yeah.
So I think that's, something that, Larry and I are really going to hone in on. And it's funny, Mike, and you can probably relate, because when I have more success in like management when you have a bigger stage. Like our other company with 12 offices, I mean, that thing was like seamless.
Yeah.
I find it harder when you have a small team to kind of, operate.
Yep. No,
I guess it's kind of the same comparison, like when, people are talking about multifamily versus like single family.
Yeah.
It, kind of the same, metaphor.
Yeah.
It's
Well, and
hard.
as you grow, that's one of the realities of this business is you have to grow. We talk about this in Investor Fuel all the time. Like the best part of the business, like if you want to get to a point where you are a business owner and you're not self-employed, you have to scale.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you can't afford to have a bunch of staff that are helping with things. You have to do it all yourself. And so, if you're doing one or two deals a month or one or two deals here and there, you're still self-employed. You don't have a business yet. And so, more the bigger you grow, you start to have other sets of problems, right? But
Yeah.
but you probably can become more of an owner at that point with staff that are handling most of the things than you can if you're still small.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Can't agree more.
Well, some great lessons here. Hopefully, some folks got some great nuggets out of this, and I'm sure people that are listening right now, are like, oh yeah, I've been there, done that. I've had that issue before.
Yeah, I
Love it.
really, try to share my mistakes with as many people as possible, so they don't have to have take the expensive seminars that me and my partner took. So
Yeah. Well, so you guys have been a part of the Investor Fuel family for, I guess, about 9 months or so. Maybe I think you guys joined last February. Or
yeah, yeah,
yeah.
it's awesome.
But would you mind giving a little testimonial about being a part of the group and how it's maybe impacted your business?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, for me, it was coming out of Home Investors, it was the perfect time to get involved with Investor Fuel. I had no clue. Like, if Investor Fuel started when I joined Home Investors, I would have had everything I needed, from the marketing, from the systems, from the resources. So I like your group, Mike. I think your group has some very good, genuine guys in there. Big players that I'm learning a lot from. Um, and you guys really go all out with everything. I mean, I can't leave my house without wearing Investor Fuel clothes.
We're trying to create
No,
some
like
billboards out there.
literally to just to be specific, like some of the relationships I got from your group has paid for Investor Fuel literally for probably like 5 years.
Hmm.
And just on little things, even just the conversations you have with the people at dinner. Like I was telling you, offline, like we got that recommendation for the PPC guy. I mean, the amount of money I've made just from that guy, and it's our best lead source. Same with what is it, Fast, Amir.
Yep.
Fantastic leads, great relationship, and I would have never had that. So it's great, man. And I also, even though I've missed a couple meetings, shame on me, but I tell Larry all the time, I'm like, you know why I still feel value? Because it's almost like a concierge service for me. It's crazy. Like if I need something, I just call you guys. And within like literally the same day, I get all the answers or the resources or the introductions that I need in any category of the business. Like I just did a deal from what's Nate? Nate Tom, I just started working with him. Shame on me, I don't know his last name. Facebook guy you guys use, Optimum Assets.
Oh yeah.
I talked to Stinson. I'm like, dude, my Facebook guy sucks. You got another Facebook guy? Like within 5 minutes, he gave me the name. Bam, set up my Facebook page. Bah, 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 we're rolling. Just got an AO like from that. So
Nice.
it's extremely valuable. I think anyone that is in this business, you really need to invest in yourself. And masterminds are great. So you guys do a great job, and I appreciate you.
Thanks, buddy. Appreciate
Yeah,
it.
man. Cool.
So if folks want to get a hold of you and they want to learn more about what you've got going on, and you guys are going to start doing some more wholesales, they might want to buy from you up in your neck of the woods. Like, where can they go to learn more about what you guys are doing or connect with you?
Yeah, so we send out we have some mailing campaigns. We send out our projects. We keep people up to date on what we're doing. So they can go to they can email us at info@sdfcapitalllc.com, and that website also is sdfcapitalllc.com. And I put a lot of stuff on Instagram, just random houses that we're doing, things we have in contract, progress. And if you guys want to check me out on Instagram, my Instagram name is Frankie Sanchez 1. That's Frankie Sanchez 1 on the IG.
Awesome. The IG. So we'll add those links down below in the show notes there for
awesome, man.
You can write them down. So appreciate you sharing your story today and some of what you guys have going on. And I know you guys have had to do some digging out here, but I know you're on the right track. You guys are good.
Yeah, we're on the right track, and we're excited. The business is doing well, so we're looking forward to the next couple of years.
Awesome, buddy. Appreciate you.
Cool, man. I'll see you in a couple months, Mike.
Yeah. Everybody, thanks for joining us today. Hope you got some. One of the best ways to learn is from other people's mistakes. If you haven't made some of these mistakes, I know that a lot of people listening here have made these mistakes and more. That's how it works as entrepreneurs. We've got a lot of arrow wounds on our back, and you just have to keep playing the game and hang in there. So they say quitters are losers, and that that is true. So
there you go.
You play the
Absolutely.
game long enough, you pivot enough, you find your way, you learn enough from your mistakes or other people's mistakes, and then you can build a business that could ultimately change your life in a lot of positive ways. So appreciate you all for listening in. If you haven't yet, please subscribe to us on iTunes, Stitcher Radio, Google Play, YouTube, anywhere where you can possibly watch or listen to us at. Of course, you can hear or watch all of our shows at investorfuel.com or on flipnerd.com. So appreciate you guys. See you on the next episode. Are you an active real estate investor? If so, and you want to latch on to the power of surrounding yourself with over 100 of the nation's leading real estate investors, all committed to building stronger businesses and living richer, fuller lives, you should jump on a call with us to learn more about Investor Fuel. Simply visit investorfuel.com to get started.